And we should be going live. Hello. How is everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? What has everybody been up to? Hello. Oh good, YouTube told me that I'm live. How's things? How's everybody doing? How's the one concurrent viewer doing? Hello John. How's things? Dr. Ray, I wouldn't go that far. Although with the amount of stuff that I've done on the response time tools, I probably wouldn't be that far off a doctorate. In fact, I've read doctorate papers about measuring response times and stuff, and I'm probably not far off. Hello. New haircut? Yes. Technically. I mean, I just had an haircut, but yeah. Hello, RE Gaming. How you doing? Hello, Simon. How you doing? How's things? Where is it? Oh, it must be one of the light one. Maybe. There you go. Save. None of the moderators are here yet, so I'll have to press show myself. Not too bad. What have I been doing? I've done what was the first video I did this week? Ah yes, a microphone that you'll see tomorrow. Well, it's not technically a microphone. It's Antlion, the people who make the new. I don't know why I'm making that. The mod mic. They have launched a set of. Well, technically they've launched a cable, and sort of also launched some IEMs to go with it. Two different types: a single driver and a dual driver. So you'll see that review tomorrow. It's definitely one of the weirder reviews I've done, not necessarily because of the style or anything. That's fairly consistent, to be honest, but the fact that I'm sort of reviewing two very different products, but they're interconnected, but you can buy just the cable and the microphone, and you'll see tomorrow. Hello to Zig, hello to Joan, hello to Chris. How you guys doing? You shaved the chin warmer, that's sacrilege. A little bit. I also shaved the head warmer. You do seem upbeat and energetic and shite. Glad to see it. Well, yeah, it's fine. I realised that I'm spending £300 a month on heating. So hence the hoodie and the hood. I'm warm enough at the moment. Put it up later if I get cold. Volvo's clutch is working again, so I'll actually make it to work tomorrow. Nice. What was it? What did they do to resolve it? Head warmer. My shiny bald head can't compute as to what that is, lol. Sorry, man. I'm sure I'll be there one day. I'm also going grey. At 25 or 26. We have two great suggestions as to how to not need heating. One is just get loads of cats. You don't need to heat. Or eat a small wheel of cheese every evening. Oh boy, that's an adventurous lifestyle. I'm more grey than anything now. Embrace it. Well, if it went all grey, that might be all right. But I'm just getting like stress strands. It's the life force leaving from my body, or that I'm burning away. It was Wednesday with apricots tonight. Oh, hilarious. Hilarious. Hello Ish, how you doing? How's things? How has everybody been? What have you been up to? Anything fun? I can just picture Chris's fridge stacked full of tiny cheese wheels. Indigestion hitting you, maybe. Yes, well, summer in Melbourne, currently 11 degrees, the high of 29 today, so heater overnight and air conditioning throughout the day. Nice. That's, yeah, fair. I think the high was 7 degrees here today, and 1 or 2 degrees at night. It keeps snowing here. We haven't had snow. We had quite a lot of ice last week. Well, yes and no. We had a lot of ice like build up on cars, but none on the roads, which is great. Yeah, been okay. We're getting a bit warmer actually, which is nice. Oh yeah, and then the other video I did today, that I finished today, was about the a new SSD from a brand that you've never heard of, but you have. It's interesting. They're called Solidigm. That's spelt solid, and then IGM on the end, and it said, or more specifically, their like company brand sheet says in the most California girl kind of way, it's Solidigm. Solidigm. But yeah, it's a fusion between solid, as in solid state drive, and paradigm, as in we offer a paradigm shift in SSD tech. Yeah. No, I didn't say it like that in the review, but I did explain that it's solid and paradigm. And more specifically, they are a subsidiary of SK Hynix. But, and here's the weirdest part, they are now the owners of the Intel 660 and 670p drives and Intel's enterprise drives. So if you buy an Intel 660p or 670p, it will be, I assume, manufactured by Solidigm now, which is weird. Yeah, Intel's NAND, as well as obviously SK Hynix's NAND, because it's SK Hynix's company, but I guess they have a partnership with Intel, or Intel has sort of half sold off their storage. I mean, I know they were talking about Optane being canned and sold off, whatever, but I didn't think that their NAND division was as well. I do not know. RE game, I'm still having the issue with where my PC crashes when adaptive sync is enabled with a specific monitor. Now I'm not getting blue screens anymore, but black screens. What could that come from? So, I remember us talking about your issue. I don't remember the specifics, I'm afraid. But black screens tend to come mostly from the driver. Actually, clarify, is it black screens, like, if you have, do you have multiple displays connected? Because if you have multiple displays connected and it's black screens on those multiple displays, then it's probably the driver. If it's a black screen on the one display with adaptive sync enabled, then it's still, I seem to remember me saying that there is a good chance that it's the monitor that's faulty. So potentially that. Yeah, my second monitor is not black. So in that case, it's not the driver, it's the monitor. And it is a monitor. I would suggest that it's something to do with the monitor's scalar controller, like scalar / controller to clarify, and it's likely to be something you'll probably need to return or get like repaired, basically. I think that would be my general consensus. Chris, there was air in the hydraulic system for the clutch. Had it bled, £1.59 for a small top up, and £50 in labour plus VAT. Fair. Where did the leak come from? That would be my concern. I mean, obviously, if it works for now, then fair enough. But for longer term, would be good to know. Deep fried avocado, hello. When I'm screwing around rearranging pins on PCI 8-pin connectors, what do I do about the sense pins? Should I count them as 12 volt or ground? So they're ground pins, and I have to assume that you just connect them to ground anyway. They're meant to be sense for both the GPU and the power supply, if I remember rightly, but I'm fairly certain that you just ground them and it's fine. Although I should clarify, I've never repinned a power supply and I've never used a PCIe connection to a 8-pin EPS connection. Certainly not on a graphics card. So yeah, couldn't say for sure, but. I've just had a thought, which is a single 8-pin, like EPS 8-pin, is generally rated for 300-ish watts. There's not really a cap on how much it will output, but it starts getting kind of melty at like 300 or so watts. Whereas PCIe 8-pin will only do 150. I don't know how intelligent your power supply will be about its power output, because it's technically all 12 volt rail. It's a single 12 volt rail, it shouldn't be a problem. But there's a chance that there is some amount of current regulation or over current protection built into the PCIe lanes. Or, connections. So there is a chance that by you just repinning PCIe instead of using 8 pins, like 8-pin EPSs, you might run into power limitations with that. That only just occurred to me. 384 watts at the minimum for CPU 8 pins, isn't it? There or thereabouts, yes. 300 is the sort of safer limit. It's if your CPU is drawing 800 watts, you should probably plug in the other 8-pin that your motherboard definitely offers. So, yes. But that only just occurred to me, and you might want to consider that. I can't remember what cards you have and how much power they're going to be drawing, but the trouble with that is if you have a come on, brain. If you do hit overcurrent protection, the problem you'll find out is that the power supply normally just switches off. It doesn't just start doing load sharing or whatever else. It just hits overcurrent protection and goes, ooh. And so that might also be a consideration. They couldn't find the leak, so either it wasn't done very well in August when the whole clutch and flywheel were replaced, or the leak might be so small they couldn't detect it. Right. Yes. So if the clutch has just been replaced, then there's a very good chance that there was just bubble in the system. That's fine. If there's no obvious leaks, then I would swing towards it just wasn't done well. So fair, better, good. It's the Alienware 3423DW. So it might be a bad G-Sync module. Yes. That no, the 3423DW does have a dedicated G-Sync module. The newer one is FreeSync. The older one, which that one is dedicated G-Sync. Or at least, I'm pretty sure that's the spec. But yes, I would argue that it's likely a defective G-Sync module in that case, or your monitor scaler, which is in this case a G-Sync module. But yeah, but I should be fine with an AMD GPU, right? Yes. I'm gonna look up the Alienware models because I can't remember what the model number is for the FreeSync one versus G-Sync. Also, I don't remember if Nvidia allows AMD cards to work with adaptive sync with an actual G-Sync module. I think that's still locked out. Oh, it's DW is the older one, and DWF is the newer. FreeSync one, I think. Yes. Yeah, FreeSync Pro, Premium Pro. So, yeah. So, do you have an AMD GPU? Because if you do, I think we've solved the problem. What did I miss? I'm now officially cold turkey on all PC/laptops. Had to sell all my stuff to pay off the final amount of my dad's funeral. I'll be starting from the beginning once again soon. My condolences, I think is the right one. I'm not very good with this, as you can tell. Very sorry to hear that. I hope that you are able to, you know, get back into the swing of things soon. And as always, my actual condolences for your father. Hello, Mark. How you doing? How's things? Been a bit. Midsummer delayed my inverter, give energy Gen 2 5 kilowatt, fourth time to March. Someone insider told me they have 27 in stock, so I phoned them and will collect it tomorrow. But if I don't call them, why? Did they were they expecting, you know, a big order for those, and therefore they weren't, you know, they wanted to hold on to the stock so that they could sell them all in one go? Like, what? Why would they do that? But I mean, fair. Did you say you have a battery pack to go with it? I know you said you got the panels a little while ago. Well, it would have been last year now. Yeah, and I suppose that means you'll be up to. They're in Coventry, aren't they? No, Cambridge. I'll just be average Joe instead of Gadget Joe for a while. Oh no, don't make me laugh at that. Oh dear. Oof. So I'll say. uh, ba 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 ba. In a tech view, all the hardware is now installed and just have to get it up and integrated and working. Should be completed by the end of next week. Nice one, Simon. Ba 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 ba. They rather sell it again for someone till they're low on stock, then send the old already paid orders when they get a lot, I guess. 9.5 kilowatt hour battery, 12 Trina, 425 watt solar panels. Nice. What did I get for 10s? I think that was what was in stock. So yeah, I think I was gonna get 430s, but nah. Or did I get 420s? Can't remember. Close enough. Over 400 watts. I'm pretty sure VRR is working though until it crashes. Is there any way to check? Well, so as far as I'm aware, you have a G-Sync only like what you call it? G-Sync Ultimate display with an AMD graphics card, right? NVIDIA doesn't support that configuration. If AMD lets you enable it, then like cool. If it happens to work, great. But if it doesn't work, you're doing something that is outside the supported range, basically, right? So you're doing something. NVIDIA won't want to support it because they'll say go and buy an NVIDIA GPU, and AMD won't support it because they'll say we can't do anything to make it work with the what you call it? Come on, brain. G-Sync module, because AMD doesn't have any control or insight into that. The non-G-Sync Alienware OLED is actually better than the older G-Sync based model because it has way lower input lag. Yes, I agree. I've seen some tests to suggest that as well. 415 if I remember correctly. Sounds right. What's a budget protector that can get I can get on Amazon that has Android? Gosh, I have no idea. Just be careful with the projector's resolution because they often claim that they're 1080p or they're 4K, but their actual like render resolution or whatever the stat is like 480p. I'm sure that there is a very wide selection of projectors that you can find on Amazon that have some form of Android on them that are probably ridiculously cheap. The quality, meh. The non-G-Sync as its firmware can be updated. That too. Our gaming, maybe Dell will give me a DWF in return. You can try. Yeah. Like the 8000 DPI scanners digitally. Yeah. They do that with mice too. I saw this Oking brand one. I've heard of that brand, so that's about 10% of the way to credibility. Can always return it. Yeah, fair. 120 packs of crisps is tempting for an R9 Fury, but I'd much rather have 60 small wheels of Jesus. Damn it, Chris. I got an Amazon gift card. This one Only 80 quid. Nice, fair. That's a 144 pack box. Sort of like a monitor. Hey! Is it getting a cultural education in British cuisine? Oh, that's a very funny way to phrase that. Oh dear. Oh yeah. I don't know. What was the? I have streamed since this, but the Steam Deck video that I did, because I bought a Steam Deck and I upgraded the SSD and the joysticks. So I think the title was the main thing that like set people off with it, but it was reading that comment section was kind of interesting. Because there's generally two camps of people in the comments in that comment section. There's the camp of people who bought a Steam Deck, who have either done similar things or who would suggest doing it, and therefore they're happy with their purchase. They're saying their experience is very wholesome, fantastic. I love to read those comments, reply to them where I can. Oh great. The other group of people were very upset that I didn't do one of many different things, many of which are completely impossible, mind you. Yeah. The most common thing that I apparently should have done was put the Switch OLED screen in it. I mean, sure, technically that might maybe be possible with like months of work, but yeah. No. Quite a few people wanted me to magically improve the battery life. Which, like, it's not like Valve didn't put the largest battery they could comfortably fit in it, right? So the only other, like, mod I could do is do what Linus did and glue a battery bank to the back of it, which is not a very useful addition. So, yeah. And a lot of people said that the joysticks that I put in are awful. They're either too sensitive, they have big dead zones, they're going to fall apart in 5 minutes. Which I was quite confused by, because I've had basically zero issues with the Ghoulie Kit joysticks. Also, the whole like build quality discussion, they're the exact same joysticks and PCBs and everything as the standard ones. The only difference is that the potentiometers that are attached to the side of the joystick aren't potentiometers, they're Hall effect sensors. Like, there really isn't much for them to break there. So I'm a bit confused about that one as well. Apparently they need a calibration or whatever, but yeah. Someone said was surprised, I think sarcastically, that I hadn't shrunk it down to be actually pocket-sized. Except the thing is that I like the size of it. I like that it's, the size that it is, so that I can visually actually see stuff. There's enough room for my meat paws to actually grab the thing, and it's comfortable, and it means that it can have more power than, say, a very underpowered Switch. It can have reasonable battery life, in my experience, especially from emulation, and it's, generally a great experience. I'm very happy with it, and like, there really isn't a configuration beyond being able to TARDIS or Pokeball itself into a smaller capacity when you're not using it that would be comfortable. Like, my wife has a Switch Lite. Technically, I can sort of fit that in my pocket, but I wouldn't want to. It's not that comfortable. But that's already too small for me. Like, I can't comfortably hold on to a Switch Lite. So, wanting the Steam Deck to be smaller and pocketable, like, carry in a bag. If I'm going out for a long enough time that I would have a Steam Deck with me, I would also want things like a water bottle and snacks and, I don't know, whatever else. So I would have a rucksack anyway. So I have a place to put the Steam Deck. Problem solved. So yeah. I've got a Switch Lite. Why they didn't change the stupid controls that made slight sense and the actual Joy-Cons boggles the mind. Nintendo should have made a clamshell version of the Switch for better ergonomics to not and not so prone to damage the screen when docking it or in a bag. That'd be cool. But I mean that would be very fitting for Nintendo. Game Boy Advance SP, DS, 3DS, whatever. But the what do you call it? I do quite like the Switch as an idea. As a company, I hate Nintendo, but as a console, it was definitely cool a couple years ago. I meant to ask last week, Foxhole were telling me about a new phase of EV battery tech coming soon to the market, new kind of battery that lasts longer, produces more power. Have you heard anything about it? Wondering if it's a new type of lithium or something, maybe? I haven't heard anything specific like from Vauxhall. There are a great number of different options that car makers, EV makers are testing for their battery chemistry and battery tech. What was it? The Tesla are moving to shorter, rounder cells, which gives better energy density. They're also removing cobalt, which is a pretty big deal for how cobalt is mined, and that was meant to improve the energy density. Most other car makers use pouch cells because they're much more volumetrically efficient. So instead of a round cell where you then have all of the wasted space, at the corners of a round cell, because a round cell cannot, combine itself together. Most EV makers use pouch cells instead, which are just flat rectangular pouches, often about that size, only about that thick. And then they have a load of them, in a box, whatever, and then lots of boxes. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are slightly different chemistries, slightly different makeups, slightly different form factors and things. Yeah. Couldn't the round cells be staggered? Yes, but you still waste, there is no, a circle cannot be volumetrically efficient when packing things. That's kind of the point. No matter what you do with packing circles in together, there is always quite a lot of wasted space between them. Ryzen, hello! So Simon says that Steve from Harbour Box has been complaining about lag in Fortnite since the change. He's using Starlink as well, so already has 60 milliseconds plus of latency. So that could be it. I haven't tried Fortnite in a while. Haven't benchmarked in a couple weeks, basically. But yeah. I missed something? Telesto, hello. How you doing? When will we get wireless charging cars? Generally speaking, it's not efficient. Wireless charging is already inefficient. It's more efficient to just have contactors or whatever else. So, basically I would suggest never. But yeah. Hello, Yano, the user. Sorry I didn't say hello. I did see you popping in. But hello, how you doing? How's things? Have you seen the new Audi pickup truck, the RS7? I saw the CarWow video, like the thumbnail, just before the stream, so haven't checked it yet. But it doesn't look like a pickup truck. I mean, I can just Google it. Let's see. There is a CarWow video I could watch. Where's the... where's the news article? Where's the... I don't really want to open the CarWow video because then it'll just play, but, yeah. I'm not considering Tesla a real car till they can do a lap in the Nürburgring without overheating the battery / motor and or loss of brakes. Again, bad design and overheating. Yeah, fair. The normal wire charging is already inefficient enough. The wireless is even worse, but some manufacturers already offer the option. Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends, you know, how you're getting your electricity. But I think the round trip efficiency for EV charging is like 80%. Which, to be clear, there's still 20% more energy you could be using there. But the actual chargers themselves, especially if they're DC fast chargers, they're not doing, well, I suppose they're doing conversion from AC from the grid to DC to the car, to the batteries, but it is still pretty efficient doing that. Fast charging is probably less efficient to think about it, but yeah. Grid AC car is DC, there's already a huge loss. To put it in the batteries, even more loss. Yes, well, so yes, but like I said, I'm from the data that I've heard, anyway, the round trip efficiency from grid charging is about 80%, which isn't bad. You can technically charge your EV with solar panels, but you can't rely on that at the moment. Yeah, no. I'll keep moving via dead dinosaur for now. Yeah. The car's engine is AC, or rather the electrical motor runs AC. Well, yes, sort of. So they're in the drone world, you would call that a brushless motor. Actually, just in motor world. And so you generally have, in the drone world, you would have 3 poles, which meet in the middle for a common point, and they cycle the phases between them, which drags the magnets around. The difference between brushed and brushless is that with a brushed motor you have carbon brushes that are rubbing up against the rotor, and the rotor is the electromagnet, which is why you need the carbon brushes to be pumping power into it to energize the coils, which then drags the motor around. With a brushless motor, the magnets are the part that moves, and the stator is the part that stays still, and that is the coils in that case. Some of them are internal, some of them are external, but as in the magnets are on the outside, magnets are on the inside. There's actually a really cool way to design it where you have the coils between magnets and they go that way, rather than the coils being in the center and the magnets being on the outside, whatever, and they go that way. The coils are sort of a right angle to what you would think, but that gives you a lot better efficiency and a lot better space efficiency. I think the new McLaren that's a hybrid has one, and it's something like 100 and something horsepower for a like dinner plate sized motor, which is insane and really cool. Yes, slow wire charging is better for the battery and efficiency. Yes, that's certainly for the battery. That's definitely true. I don't like wireless charging myself. It gets far too hot and it's painfully slow. That's the efficiency. Passing power through air, even if it's magnetic fields, is still much less efficient than passing it through an actual conductor, not an insulator. Air is a great insulator of both electricity and heat. So, yeah. I got Starlink satellite internet, usually 22 to 25 milliseconds ping. Nice. Did I miss anything? I've kind of been jumping around, so yeah. Fill the roads with wireless energy for charging and basically live in a life-sized microwave. Luckily, not quite, but also kind of, yeah. Wouldn't be great. Ryzen, it certainly sounds like it. But yeah, if nothing else has changed beyond them updating things, I wouldn't be surprised if it is a more wide scale issue. See if like the Fortnite or whatever subreddit has anything on it, to see if it is a little more widespread than just yourself. But if it's anything like Rockstar, they probably won't bother fixing it because, oh god. For those of you who didn't see, there's a sort of vulnerability, I suppose, with GTA, including offline, where malicious actors can basically trick the Rockstar like ban hammer to come down on everybody but them, which is just amazing. Only on PC though, because that's where the cheats are. In my opinion, I feel EV cars are always going to fall behind combustion cars purely due to longer charging times and limited range. Even a fast charger 30 to 45 minutes is mind-numbingly slow. So the two things that you should probably know and or that might change over time is the way that you use an electric vehicle, like when you actually own one, drive it long term, is quite different to how you drive a petrol car or a diesel car, because instead of obviously with internal combustion engine, you drive until you're out of fuel and then you go and fill up, and then if you're going to go on a long drive you might fill up before you're empty or whatever, but with an EV you just leave it plugged in the whole time, and then whenever you want to go anywhere it's fully charged and ready to go. Obviously that is for people who can charge at home, which realistically the sorts of people who can generally afford an EV right now are the sorts of people who likely have the facilities to charge at home. But yeah, the main thing is that the way that you use the an EV is fairly different to the way that you use an internal combustion engine car. Secondly, there are the advancements of battery chemistry and things like charging rates will mean that even if you can't, or you're going on a longer drive, whatever, and you do need to top up mid go, that will likely be faster. You'll get better range, whatever. And I think the other thing is that generally speaking, even if you are doing a long journey, like say you have an Ioniq 5 or whatever, that's perfectly capable of doing relatively long distances. But when you do stop, as long as you stop at an actual fast charger, you generally don't stop for 30 minutes at a time, whatever. You'll stop for 15 minutes to get to 70%, and then you'll stop again 4 hours later to do it 15 minutes again, which realistically, if you're driving that far that you're going to need to stop and charge for any amount of time, you're likely to want to be stopping to go to the toilet anyway. And so you can think about it as if you're more likely to stop for the loo than you are to charge the car. And anytime you do stop for the loo, you can just charge the car anyway. So, yeah. I think I'm naturally against them because I make a lot of regular long distance journeys for specialist consultants, etc. And the large EVs simply don't cut it for range. That's perfectly fine. They're not necessarily for everyone anywhere near yet, right? They have. I still see an EV right now as a great second car, or as a great everyday car, but you keep your diesel, your petrol, whatever, for those longer journeys, for whatever. And for the slightly more niche markets like people carrier, MPV, van type things, sure, that market has not been anywhere near explored enough yet for those to be considered decent options, right? So it's not a it's not for everyone, at least yet anyway. Zig says plugged in at home and work and no worries about range at all. Yeah. I've got an XC60 D4 all drive now too. Nearly 700 miles on one tank. Damn, that is impressive. It's a shame because honestly I'd love to own one. The tech and idea is incredible. The inner kid wants an electric car, but the old grumpy bald man spoils my day. Yeah, well, you gotta have some sense sometimes. I had a Zoe long range back in 2014, couldn't do a 60-mile airport pickup in winter time. Yeah, I mean the 2017 Zoe was what, a 42 kilowatt hour battery, whatever. Like most actual EVs that I would consider, decent choices for anything more than just, city car runabout, are like 80 plus kilowatts, if not more. So, yeah. Gaming 113. Is it okay to use the pre-applied thermal paste? Yeah, I mean it's you are likely to if you purchase some good quality thermal paste, Arctic MX4 or Noctua NH whatever it is, 1T or whatever. Those are likely to perform a couple of degrees better. But if you don't want to spend the money, you don't want to have the hassle of applying it, you already have a cooler and you just want your PC to work now, yeah, it's fine. Like, with everything is some form of compromise. And the compromise you're making by using the stock thermal paste is you're giving up a couple of degrees Celsius of sort of peak efficiency. But for that trade-off, you're getting less hassle and less money spent. So do with that information as you will. But yes, it's fine. Winter range is always affected. Also, highway 1.5 times less mileage. Again, high speed, even less range. Long range, King is still diesel. Petrol is fun for mix. EV for city or not too far. Yes, I would agree, especially in the current market. Testo, I need a new PC after 7 years now. Nice. I've been saving for all this time. A bit confused what motherboard to get if I buy a huge 4090. See the black there? All of that is a 4090. Massive. So, Testo, what's CPU are you going with? And what controllers and PCIe, audio, Wi-Fi, more USB, C? I can't find to plug them into the motherboard out the back of the case. As in, you want audio, Wi-Fi, USB, USB-C, like PCIe cards to attach, like to connect. Just don't buy a 4090 because your house insurance will be voided. No, I didn't buy that. That's a Founders Edition card straight from Nvidia. Gainward Phantom 4090. It was not that big. I think it was the smallest 4090 yet, so it was cool and quiet. Nice. Joe, is the whole silicon shortage still a thing? Let me check Mouser. They're, I think, the largest electronics component distributor in the world. I buy all of the OSRTT parts from them. And there is I can't see one. The microcontroller, still hanging about there? I don't see one. The actual microcontroller that is on the Adafruit board that I use, I wanted to ideally basically make this whole board without the microcontroller on top, but I physically could not buy the chip that Adafruit are using, which is a bit of a problem. It is the ATS&D 51G 19A. The earliest that I can get one is the 4th of the 3rd. Not bad. Oh, 2024. Yeah, it's over a year away. Still, in fact, it's been over a year away for a year. So no, the shortage is not over. It's still can't buy any. Thank you, Ish. I did see that comment. Very confused. Well, that's not the first time, actually. I used to own a 2012 Skoda Superb 2-litre diesel with a tank of 55. I managed to do 1,100 kilometers and still had some fumes left. Damn, nice. I mean, I'm not really in a position to brag about my my fuel efficiency. My 3-litre supercharged V6 with all-wheel drive. It's not that efficient. I think the most I can get is about 400 miles to a 65-litre tank. I mean, if I really, like, if it's only motorway, if I actually did 70 or even 65, whatever, like, if I grannied it, I could probably get 450, 500 miles, whatever, fine. And for petrol, that's pretty decent, but I don't. So it's like 350. Have they gone beyond a shortage now then? They've got a serious backlog to work through, and I mean, they took years to get acceptable level of distribution and availability. Yes! Yeah, exactly. Because for every like person like me who wants to buy 100 of them, there are plenty of companies that want to buy 10,000 of them. Admittedly, you probably don't buy 10,000 of them from Mauser. You'll buy 10,000 of them from Atmel microchip. But still, they're Mauser can't even get hold of one reel, which is about 2,000, 2,500. Uh, 4,000, a full reel. But yeah, Mauser can't even get hold of them. The factory lead time is 111 weeks right now. Chris, they are £5 each. So a single reel is £18,000 from Mauser, admittedly, but I'm sure that a full reel from Microchip is probably £16,000, and I still couldn't buy them if I wanted to. Ryzen 9 7900 is what I want, but possibly wait for the new 3D AMD chips. I would say probably wait for them because, at very least, if you wait for them, which I think is, what, a month or two or something, you know, in your position, I suspect you are able to hold on. You suggested waiting, so. If even if they don't end up being, you know, significantly better, which we kind of expect them to be, they will likely help drive down the price of everything, including the motherboards, because more people will be buying AM5 boards, AM5 chips. Therefore, that brings the demand there, and the you know, motherboard vendors, or more specifically the like distributors, start buying in larger quantities at a lower price, and then they can sell them for lower, whatever. So yeah, I would probably hold off if you can. But motherboard wise, it really depends. If you're after the absolute most in PCIe connectivity, then the X670, X670E boards are, I guess, what you're after. But the vast majority of boards will come with, you know, Wi-Fi, 2.5 gig Ethernet, reasonable audio. More USB is probably the one thing that I would also consider adding, but yeah, I would say for the majority of it, for PCIe connectivity anyway, pretty much everything is fine. Do you think the silicon lottery? Do you think the silicon thing could have an effect on the proposed EV rollout estimation, i.e., the government wanting all new cars to be EV by 2030? So yes and no. I mean, we're only on what, 2023, so there is a decent amount of time. The interesting thing about the chip shortage is that it is almost exclusively this sort of chip, like the sort of chip that would go into one of these, or into, say, the module in your car door, which specifically are old tech. Like, they are old production nodes. They are like 100, 200 nanometer, or maybe like 96, but you're talking several generations old in terms of the PC space. But the reason that they are so used is because those machines are older, they're not cutting edge anymore, and there's enough quantity of them, and they're, you know, these chips are so tiny that they can manufacture so many of them that you can buy an entire single core ARM CPU with a load of IO and all that sort of stuff for £4.57 if you buy 4,000 of them. So that that sort of economies of scale is why these sorts of things are so cheap. But those chips aren't, those machines aren't made anymore. You can't buy a new one. ASML, the company who makes at least EUV machines specifically, but realistically they make quite a lot of lithography machines, don't make new 100 nanometer fabs. But that's what we need the production capacity in, because that's what everybody's using. So that's the bottleneck basically. So to answer your question, probably a little, but not to a massive degree, I wouldn't think, in the grand scheme of things. I looked at a used 3-litre V6 Audi A6 and the insurance for 1 year was double the cost of the car. Yeah, I remember looking at that. Well, that sort of thing when I was your age. Sonny boy. Gaming, what happens if you have a bad CPU and GPU combo? So it kind of depends what you mean by bad. If you mean by mismatched, as in, one is significantly better than the other. If your CPU is on the slow side, if you bought a lower end GPU and a lower end CPU and a higher end GPU, that's actually the more favorable configuration for gaming, because in gaming your graphics card matters way more for your performance and your in-game experience than your CPU does. So realistically, you will likely be losing out on some performance, but it's not a massive deal. If you have a really low-end GPU but a higher-end CPU, then I hope you're doing productivity work, because your gaming experience is going to suck. Pelican, it depends how bad you're talking. Like if you're talking single core, Pentium 3 and a 4090, then yeah, for sure. But realistically, any modern quad core pretty much is mostly fine for most graphics cards. So yeah. Car manufacturing rather use 200 nanometer old tech than use Intel 14 plus because it's way too much money to do all the testing, car certification, modification on so on. Intel made the offer. Yes. The problem is that you can't just take a given design and shrink the thing down. And use a smaller process node. There is a lot of work you have to do that. So you can't just snap your fingers and change process node, which is part of the problem. Daughter's fella pays 3.3k per year for his Impreza WRX. I quoted from me for it, and it was £212. Damn. I think I paid about 800 last year for my S4. I'm hoping that comes down this year finally. But yeah, I'll have 8 years no claims. 9 years. I started driving in 2014, so I guess that will be 8. No, it will be 9 years. God. Problem is, after 7 years, all my games crash. My 980 Ti gets a bit hot. I'm trying to make it work. Trying with MSI Afterburner. Guessing, to be honest. Fair play. I wonder if you could try repasting the GPU. Like, take the cooler off and apply new thermal paste. Because that might be a pretty big improvement for the thermals and therefore for its stability. Chris, I was quite deliberately going with the most extreme thing I can think of, but yes. Used a 3770K with an OC tuned V58, and it was a worse experience than when I used the 1070 with that CPU, for instance. V56, as in, like, use the higher end graphics card with that chip. Fair. I mean, I did. What was it? Harbor Box did some testing. Might have been for the last generation. But specifically with NVIDIA cards, they really don't like slow CPUs. They have a weird, I think it's driver or whatever. But they really don't. Whereas AMD is a lot better with that for some reason. What's the thing you have to connect your car to a PC? Well, it depends on what car you have, but some form of dealership diagnostic software. In my case, I use VCDS, Rostec VCDS. But for Volvo, it's called VIDA. For BMWs, it's ISTA. And Minis. For Mercedes, it's Zentry. So yeah. Oh, look at the time. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? I think, especially seeing as my throat is starting to wane. Yeah, I will. I think I'll have to leave it there. I hope you guys have a great week. As always, stay safe. There's more videos coming, as always. And yeah, I'll see you all next week, and obviously tomorrow for a video, Monday for a video. Yeah, catch you guys later.